All right, welcome to another video update prayer weekly. You know, about out here by the woodpile today at the Refuge. The weather's moving in, so I wanted to go ahead and get this video done. We're praying for rain. It's like a desert out here at the Refuge, but we're thankful that we get some rain to nourish the land from our Creator God, and also so our goats can continue to be on grass and we don't have to buy hay. It also takes care of our fall crops out here. So again, you listen to Devin Harris, the director, CEO of Full Circle Refuge. I want to say thank you to the many people that are watching our videos, even the oldie but goodie from back in the day. I found that in one of our archives. Make sure you point your browser YouTube channel. It's right there at the top right now, and you can watch. I got a little bit better hair on me. I got some funny glasses, weird clothes. No mustache, well, definitely not gray. So check that out. And of course, last week, myself and son did our monthly update on the Refuge porch, where we usually do some rocking chair counseling. It was a beautiful day, and my queen did a great job. So check that out. Give some likes there. Subscribe to the channel. Get this up there because we want this message to get out. And it's very important what I'm going to share with you this week. And I got some notes here because, you know, ADHD, I don't want to get tongue-tied and off track. Well, this week started with a kind of a challenge. I was at one of my appointments on Tuesday, and I was heading that way. Matter of fact, I was actually coming from Aiken, South Carolina. I had a lunch meeting with an agency there that was pleading for resources for youth in their community. They're talking about their area was off the chain. It was chaotic. They got some youth that have come in that they're giving resources to their family, and these kids are in need of Jesus. That's what it is. But they need a focus of change the way they think and act. We had a great lunch. I shared my story, my heart. I'm coming out of there. I get a text from my neighbor, which is retired law enforcement, and said there's a gang shooting at the local mall. And it looks like one in custody, one shot. So here we go, rolling with this. And it gets pretty intense as it makes the social media news. And people are appalled, and their lives are disrupted because of this incident. And the reality is, this young man that was his life was taken is possibly one of our kids that we worked with in the past. We believe it is. And then the other ones we probably had some conversations with, because they've been in the court system. Part of that we do with the Richmond County court system called 1 Degree at a Time. So it was really a challenge there, just seeing this happening. Um, it should make me just stop what I'm doing. It's like it's no hope, but it ain't. It ain't. I'm saying it ain't. It ain't stopping us. It is a challenge, but it makes us go harder. We're not going to quit. It makes us go harder in what we need to do because we know this works. And then I think Wednesday, I was going to a facility that's a transition facility. And, you know, it's a little bit different. We're trying to bring this focus and help them with their transition. They've been locked up a couple of years and they're ready to go home. And, you know, thank you, first of all, for my prayer warriors. You were praying, your prayers were answered. But, we're not walking into a bed of roses. We walked into the miry pit. The only consensus I can say what I walked into was a room of God haters. I'm not saying that wrong against these youth. It's just what they've been brought up in and what their focus is, and they're way off track of who God is. In a sense, we walked in, is this church? I don't want no church. I didn't even say anything. You know, it's because we are the church. We're walking in places and the presence of God in prayer warriors' prayers are showing up. And one guy says, I'm Muslim, and I don't have nothing to do with Christian. I said, man, that's cool. Let's come on, hang out for a little bit. But it was God haters plowing through this miry pit of trying to get to a point, or even giving them a solution how to make it on the outside, even how to make legit money, how to have a good job, or how to survive so you don't get locked up again. It was pretty crazy, you know, just trying to bring them to that consensus. And you can see in the room the battle happening, the backseaters all disruptive, trying to get under my emotions, and you know, I'm wearing my vet hat today, trying to get to that old soldier and make that old soldier say something to them to disrupt the whole thing. There was a couple sitting up front, you know, really absorbing the information. It was very powerful to see that. But actually, I even had one kid walked out because he didn't like how I was saying things, and all of a sudden he came back in. Another one was trying to be the jokester. I want you to understand what's happening in that room as machizo is actually fear. It's a fear of their future. It's a fear that what I'm trying to offer you, one of my dogs, hey, there's Coda behind us, a fear of what they have to approach, because institutionalization works because it keeps you bondage. That's what it does. And so they were fear of the unknown. I even had a discussion with them that they've been locked up maybe 3 or 5 years, and the world has moved and their world has not. And when they go out there, they have to catch up very quickly. They have to catch up very quickly, and they want to be back into the normalcy of life, of the culture. And it's so hard that most likely because of that, they will reoffend. It was very tough. The other volunteer, Rick, was with us, and he says, man, you just know how to do that. You just know how to do that. Come here, Coda. You know, just know how to do that. They want to get on camera. Hope they don't knock the camera down. Every one of them is trying to defend their love. Isn't that amazing? I'm their master, and they respect that because we feed them. Yeah, and they have boundaries here at the Refuge to live and enjoy life as a dog. And we're not dogs, but God has actually given us that same boundaries in our life to really flourish in life, and it does. So it was a challenge, but I came out praising God that we pierced some. And I give out my business cards. As a matter of fact, I ran out of business cards. It was crazy, and everybody wanted. And we gave out the Way Out book from Straight Ahead. I didn't have enough. I had some more in the car, but I didn't bring it. Every one of them just jumped over tables to get to that book. It's crazy how that works. And the reality is, I gave out my business cards, and I say, if you call me when you're released, we'll make time together to come to your community to break bread together at a fine restaurant. We'll sit down with you and figure out them 3 things I've talked about in our early videos. Is, of course, job, having a legit job, continue education, and accountability to a Bible-believing church. You know, because there's a lot of churches out there today. They're going to give you everything, and I hope you are not part of that church. You know, really study Scripture where you need to be, where there's accountability, there's koinonia, there's real communion happening, there's community happening where they're accountable, and they're going to challenge you. They're going to challenge you how to walk like Jesus. Walk like Jesus. I ain't preaching today. I'm going to keep on my notes. Keep this, trying to keep them short. I'm trying, but I appreciate everybody that watches them all the time. One thing, just to add a note, is just to get into the challenge here. A call to action I have here is Maximus and the Gladiator, a good man movie of a good and evil, you know, from a struggle or suffering to a warrior. You know, he says, what we do in life echoes in eternity. What are we doing now will echo in eternity. One of the things, the reason why we're doing these videos now is because we have a lot of things behind us that we've experienced over these last 30 years in ministry. And that we don't want this to die with us. We're challenging others. We want this to go forth. So you see my nice looking face, you know, and my strange conversation, you know, at the Refuge, that God is blessed. We're real. We ain't no AI. We're not scripting nothing with Chat GP or whatever they call these things today. This is me speaking to you, you know. So this is what the mission has been for Full Circle Refuge. But we're going to strengthen. We're going to dig deeper. We're going to go harder into these darker places. You know, even when this happened with this incident at that mall, and these juveniles did this heinous crime, took a life. Remember, when somebody shoots someone, both lives lose. You lose a child to the system, and you lose a child to 6 feet under, you know, and they have to grieve this. A healthy young man's life was ended because of that right there. Yeah, the index finger, but it was all no good up here, and definitely no good here. That's what was happening. So as that happened on social media, nonprofits and social agencies start to rally because it penetrated people. And what can we do? There's all kinds of writings now, how we can help and how we can do all this. And what can we do? This is not right that this is happening in our community. And I want you to know, church, that this is going to fizzle. This will weaken because they only going to give them surface information. Surface information. But we have the solution. The Great Commission is what God has called us to do. That's what it's all about, is to go to them. We are Jesus wherever we go. We are the light and salt wherever we go. This is the solution to this problem. The reality is, what we know is what we know. One of the things we know over the years, some of our young adult men, and some of y'all have heard of them, have seen them on video, have seen them in our past prayer letters. They're all Christians, and they struggle just like you and me with issues in life. They do. They have ups and downs. I remember my early days of Christianity. I just wasn't so holy than thou. I struggled with them wounds inside of me. I wasn't healed yet. God was working on that stuff. Put off and put on. That's what he was doing. And our brother, our spiritual sons struggle the same way. But one thing I know about all of them now, they're not God haters. They have awareness of God. They do. And they're accountable to God. See, there was a paradigm change that happened in their life. They would have been the God haters. They would have caused the havocs in our community. They are what Chuck Colson called back in the day, roving wolf packs. He said that in the 90s, that the future will be like that. Well, guess what? We're at the future. Chuck Colson said that, or founder of Prison Fellowship. He said there will be roving wolf packs. I want you to understand what a roving wolf pack is. A roving wolf pack is without a leader. See, in a pecking order, in that wolf hierarchy, they submit. Dogs lay upside down to show their vulnerable area because they're submitting to their leader. They're submitting to me here. I'm the wolf pack leader here at the Refuge with our dogs, our goats, and our chickens. The reality is this. They're roving. There is no leader. There's random things. Even after that mall shooting, there was a retaliation in the same community for the shooting. And these kids are locked up now. Now people are trying to figure out, where did the gun come from? But nobody wants to deal with this wound. They don't want to deal with it. They want to give them topical surface solutions that is temp service, like a rental agency. That's what that is. There's no heart change, no change the way they think and act. Not from a caterpillar to the butterfly. They still caterpillars. They still caterpillars. You can hear my heart right now. I'm off the chain about this. I am. I challenge the church. I challenge. Give you some scripture why this is so important. Romans 7 verses 5 through 6, Amplified Version again, because I need it. When we were living in the flesh, merely physical lives, the sinful passions that were awakened and aroused us by the law made sin, were constantly operating in our natural powers and our body organs, in the sensitive appetites and wills of the flesh, so that we bore fruit of death. Verse 6, but now we are discharged from the law and have terminated all intercourse with it, having died to what once restrained and held captive. So now we serve not under obedience to the old code of written regulations, but under obedience to the prompting of the Spirit in the newness of life. That's what this is. These young men are only operating in what is gauged in there. Matter of fact, they don't even understand the civil law that's of the United States. They don't have respect for the life, sensitivity of life, because of all kinds of things are just rewiring their brain. And it's really solidifying that womb of abuse and generational curse that's happening in their lives. And we have the solution. We have the way, the truth, and life. Why we don't go? Why we don't go? Oh, they need prayer. They just pray for these young people. I don't know what to do about them. I hear all kinds of solutions from men, godly men. They say they are. I hear this solution, but it ain't that. Old men can go and speak to this. We are wise. Old men, we have seasoned. We're sages. We can speak to these young men. That's what we're asking for. You know, the reality is this is a matter of prayer, and it's a call to action to the church. I am challenging you. I'm just fed up. I'm just fed up, and I'm 60s. It don't matter no more. You know what I have to say? I know what the solution is. I know what the solution is. I'm asking you to come alongside us to be the feet to the Great Commission. And what God has called us as change agents. I'm asking for, again, 60 men, young and old. 60 godly, 60 young men, old men, to come and speak to 60 young men at the Augusta RYDC. That's the Youth Regional Detention Center. That's the Regional Youth Detention Center. That's what it stands for. 60 men. We'll get you qualified. All you need is a couple hours a week to speak life to a young man. These young men that did this heinous crime are going to be in this system, and we're going to be meeting with them. I can't be everything. I can't be everything. We're losing so many through the cracks in the system right now. These kids got gifts and talents that can change the world. Remember, generational curse is true, but generational wealth, spiritual wealth, is true too. It will have a paradigm change. The reality is also we're seeking a call to action to a few good men to come with us, alongside us, to 1 degree at a time, change the way you think and act in Richmond County, Georgia, to come alongside these guys and speak and war game life in front of them. Tell your stories, your successes, your failures, your sufferings, your strengths, what's really working. This is what they want to hear. And as a matter of fact, it's not what they say they want to hear, it's what they want to really hear in their heart to deal with that wound. So I'm challenging you. We are seeking this now. We're seeking this. Stop reading the social media. Stop watching the news and watching all the video like you watching the old cop show or whatever they call these shows now, reality shows. Let's do something about it. Let's do something. I'm challenging you. I am challenged. I am teed off. I am. This is a state of emergency. State of emergency. That this is going to continue to happen. Remember, I stated that juvenile crime nationally has increased because of relaxed laws. All right, even in this system, this young man, based on what I've read, he was bonded out in June without any resources. So you bond out somebody and he ain't got no resources, sooner or later he's going to take somebody's life. It is a challenge. I am challenging you. So I appreciate you listening to me. Be in prayer. This is a burden. It's heavy on my shoulder. I'm at lament for this. Come on now. Won't you give us a call? Won't you go to our website, fullcirclerefuge.org. See the resources we can offer that you can come alongside. We've already messed up too much. We done did all the mistakes, and we have formalized this, solidified it, making it easy for you to come alongside us, just to be part of the solution, the puzzle to make this work. And you prayer warriors out there, keep on praying for us. But I appreciate you watching this on a weekly basis. You know, we got our podcast there, Act Like Men. You know, last week was Act Like Men. Are You in a Rut? Check that out. One of my beautiful bucks on the picture. You know, you'll see the other videos that are there. You know, we just did our last podcast on the third part of Who Am I? Identity Crisis of Youth Today. Why gang life was better than school. You got to listen to this. See what kids are telling me. You think that, yeah, it's their parents. They need more education. You need all the... No, they need Jesus. They need Jesus. With that, I appreciate you listening to me. You have a blessed weekend. I'm praying for rain because I'm Native American. Son says I need to do a rain dance out here. Nah, I'm praying to Jesus to take care of our land, to take care of our land, to nourish it, and to take care of it. Appreciate it. Yeah, like I always say, let's do business with our Father, do business with God. I'm out.